Hey guys, hope everything's going good. And I have a little thing that I want to admit about myself. I absolutely love Chris Hansen. I love watching his content, and I especially love watching the sting operations he does. And one day I was just lying in bed with my big brain and all my big brain thoughts going on in my head, and I just thought to myself, hey, you know what? Why don't we make a video about Chris Hansen? And that's what we're doing today. Today, I am making a video of my top 5 favorite moments from Chris Hansen. Now, obviously, because of the type of things that he does with like the sting operations he does into you know what, I'm gonna have to remove a bunch of the words or just say like buzzwords for what I mean, because a lot of the stuff that he goes through is graphic because the type of guys that he deals with are pretty gross. So I'm gonna have to take out a bunch of words just so that then this channel doesn't get demonetized or get age restricted, because yeah, I don't want to go down that route. So just know that if you hear a word is just, if you hear there's a certain part in the video where a word is cut out or anything like that, just know it's because I'm taking those extra measures to make sure that, we obey the rules of the YouTube overlords. Anyways, let's get on with the list. Alright, so for our first entry, the best part about this sting operation is the arrest, but I am going to show you a little bit of the background. That way you can have some context as to what exactly leads up to this insane arrest.
A perverted justice decoy starts chatting online with a man from Indiana, 5.5 hours away from our undercover house in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
I figured, oh, there's no way this guy's going to come.
Yes, you heard that correctly. This guy lived in Indiana. The sting operation was in Kentucky, and he drove 5.5 hours to meet up with, let's just say, the young lady or the decoy. I'm just gonna call it decoy, just so that then again, I really don't want to overstep any boundaries or even like get close to like getting age restricted or demonetized. So I'm just gonna say the decoy just to be safe. But this guy drove 5.5 hours to meet up with the decoy. That is absolutely crazy. Not too long ago, I went on a trip to Utah, and the trip alone from Vegas to Utah was almost 6 hours, so around the same length. But yet that was a road trip I took for a vacation. This guy took the same length of driving that I took for my road trip to meet up with a decoy. That's absolutely crazy. But he does get his comeuppance at the very end.
During the long drive, he talks to the decoy on the phone and reveals more about himself.
We just got off the phone with the guy who's claiming to be a cop. We don't know that he is, but he says he carries his gun everywhere with him.
So now we have to assume that John Raven 2000 is a police officer and he's armed.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this just got much more dangerous. So apparently they just found out that this guy may actually be a police officer. And not only that he may actually be a police officer, he may also be armed. So that just makes this situation so much more dangerous. And, kudos to the decoy for actually having the courage to actually, be face to face with this, creep. Kudos to the decoy for that. But I would say this, because of the fact that he may be armed, that actually leads to the insane arrest that you're going to see at the very end. And trust me, you're going to want to stay tuned for that because you're not going to want to miss it.
He has been instructed to make certain the man is unarmed.
Hey,
Oh my god.
you didn't really bring your gun with you, did you? Because that kind of freaks me out.
No.
Well, you said you always carry it with you.
It's in my car.
I don't believe you.
Seriously, look.
Lift up your shirt. Turn around.
I always like these checks on if someone has a weapon. Like, all right, sir. Lift up your shirts. All right, drop your pants down. All right, turn around. All right, drop your underwear now. Like, I always like those checks that people do. But I can understand why you have to do it in this situation. It kind of feels as if like you're going through like a metal detector at the airport, where like they require for you to remove like all your belongings that are on you, and you have to walk through it. I don't know, I just think that's pretty funny how like they're just asking him to do that. But again, I totally understand the point of this. But one thing that I'm not gonna show in this clip, because like I said, at the same time I don't want to also like get flagged for copyright. One thing that I'm not gonna show in this clip is that this guy actually did have a weapon with him in his car. It wasn't on him. It wasn't on him personally, because as you saw from the clip, or it was just a short clip, but he doesn't have a weapon on him, but he does have a weapon in his car, and they do end up finding that out after the arrest. So it just goes to show you, what if this really was a young lady that was there, and this guy showed up. That's really just an extremely terrifying situation. But luckily, it was a decoy. It was a sting operation with police. And luckily, it was Chris Hansen that was involved.
So, Lieutenant,
What's up?
what are we investigating tonight?
Nothing much.
What's your plan here?
I just drove down here to
And how long was the drive?
5.5 hours.
Now, what would motivate somebody to drive 5.5 hours to come here to this house?
I always like when Chris Hansen finally comes out and reveals himself to these creeps, because there's nothing more satisfying than seeing these creeps literally just die in the inside. Like, you could just tell, like, the moment they see Chris Hansen just walk out right there, they just die in the inside. And one funny thing is that in like more recent episodes that Chris Hansen had made where he catches these creeps, a lot of times these creeps actually do recognize him. So of course they see him, they recognize him, and they're like, oh no, I'm gonna be on TV, aren't I? But I just like how back then, during this time, like there's still people that aren't like familiar with what the show was exactly. But I don't know, it's just hilarious to just see this happen in real time. And unfortunately, we didn't get Chris Hansen's iconic line of why don't you have a seat right over there? That is literally the most iconic line from Chris Hansen. Like, literally every single time I hear somebody say have a seat, I immediately just think of Chris Hansen. It's just so hilarious how that line is just so associated with Chris Hansen. I don't know, I just find that so hilarious. And that he would always say this to these creeps when he was gonna sit down and talk to them. And I don't know, it was just so funny. And what's even funnier is that a lot of these creeps would actually go through with it. But anyways, I kind of went off track right there. Unfortunately, I am gonna have to skip the majority of the interview, just because for the majority of the time this creep is just like deflecting, isn't really answering anything. He just answered like one word responses. But that's not the point of this entry. The point of this entry is the arrest. But of course, let me at least show you the ending of this interview.
Well, there's something you gotta know. And it's I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC. And we're doing a story on adults who try to meet.
Okay, so as you saw right there, I did skip the majority of this interview because the guy just kind of like deflects and he doesn't really say much. And so I just decided to cut to the very end where Chris Hansen finally does the reveal of who he is. That, he does the whole I'm Chris Hansen with Daylight NBC. And so I just decided to skip to that part. And you may have heard right there was a moment where the audio cut out right there. That wasn't accidental. That was me cutting out the audio because, again, like I said, I don't want this video possibly getting age restricted or anything like that. So I'm gonna cut out like any, let's just say I'm gonna cut out any naughty words. So that way, we're playing it safe and all that. But anyways, as you clearly saw, Chris Hansen officially has made the reveal. Now that you guys have that background of this guy possibly being a police officer, possibly being armed, and driving 5.5 hours to meet up with a decoy, now it's time for the best part of this sting operation, the moment you've all been waiting for.
He gathers up all his belongings and heads to the door, apparently thinking the worst is over. Because of the possibility that Patterson is armed, an officer acts more quickly than usual, calling out to him as soon as he opens the door.
Sheriff's office!
Patterson steps back into the house, and an officer shoots him with a taser gun. Only one probe stays attached, so the taser is unable to shock him and drop him to the ground.
Please help me! Oh, dear God! Oh, dear God!
I told you guys, because the police think that he's armed, they act much faster. Because typically in these other sting operations, they let the creep like walk out like onto the sidewalk before they finally come in. But in this situation, they just got him like right there at the door. And as you can clearly see, like one of the cops shoots a taser at the creep. And I guess like only one of like the pinchers for the taser like stuck on, so that's why the guy didn't go like completely limp or like like start twitching like you usually do when you get shocked. So he starts like stumbling back, and I love it because if you notice when he stumbles back into the house, you can see Chris Hansen and like the other guy that's right there. They're like watching the whole situation, like they're like, oh shoot, we should get out of here right now before we get caught into this. I just found that really funny. And of course all the police officers come in and just like tackle the guy, just like basically pin him down, and he's just like bleeding. Oh my goodness. Get wrecked, my guy. Get wrecked. That's what happens when you decide to be a creep and drive 5.5 hours to meet up with a decoy. Oh my god, that quite possibly is the best arrest ever in all of like Chris Hansen's sting operations. But that's just number 5 on this list. on to the next entry. Now, our next entry is the longest of all of our entries because really it's the entire interview that is the best part of this entire sting operation that Chris Hansen does, because this guy is quite possibly the worst liar ever. I'm telling you right now, if you think you're a bad liar, I guarantee you're not as bad as this guy is.
Hi, I'm 17. Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care about age.
All right, tell me the address.
Okay, I'll send it to you and I'll see you soon.
All right.
Okay, bye.
The fact that he said he was 18 and then rolled it back and said he was 17 indicates to you
that he's lying.
Yeah.
And then maybe trying to, if he does get caught, he can say, well, I'm only 18. I'm only 7.
Okay, so as you can already see from the opening clip, the guy apparently told the decoy over chat that he was 18, but now on the phone call, he's claiming that he's only 17 now, which just goes to show you how weird and how creepy these type of guys are. But let that set the tone for just how bad this guy's lies are gonna get. And trust me, they're gonna get really bad.
See, I told you it was cold. You even got your hands in your pockets. I just opened some gummy bears, so I was eating some gummy bears. We just got a whole bunch of Halloween candy.
She chats about candy, and he asks her a question.
Okay, so tell me you're a creep without telling me you're a creep. This guy literally just comes in, just not even saying a word, and just like with his hands in his pockets, and just like acting all creepy, just looking around like, oh, hey, what's going on here? Are you by yourself? Like, oh my god, like this guy is just being so creepy to the point where they actually commence the arrest immediately. Like the police actually come out immediately and arrest this guy because this guy's just being all types of suspicious. But luckily when that happens, that allows Chris Hansen to kind of just come out and be just more masked off with his condemnation of this type of behavior. And trust me, good thing that happened because, yeah, get ready to see what happens.
What were you doing here today?
Nothing.
Nothing. Well, you had a chat online. Tell me what happened. How did you end up here in this house?
My friend gave me this number.
Your friend gave you this number?
Yeah.
And who is your friend?
Jose.
Jose? And where is Jose?
He's in Pontiac.
Jose in Pontiac.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever just get a friend named Jose that just tells you to call this random number because you just meet some random girl there? I always like that because this isn't the first time that I've heard a creep use this excuse. And I don't even know if they actually think that people are going to buy this, that, oh yeah, just my friend just gave me this random phone number and told me to call it, and then I just came across this girl and that's it. Like, who's falling for that?
He just told me to call this number.
He told you to call this number?
Yeah.
You called the number?
I didn't know, man.
You what?
I didn't know.
You didn't know what?
I even like the reaction from Chris Hansen where he's like, he told you to call this number. Like he's like, wait, really? This is the excuse you're going with? That some guy told you to call this number? Even though, again, we're the ones who conducted the sting operation, so we know for a fact that nobody gave you this phone number. And by the way, I love the self-report at the very end where he's like, oh, I didn't know. And then Chris Hansen's just like, oh, you didn't know what? Because in case you don't know, they actually haven't stated what exactly he's being arrested for. They haven't even stated what was the age of the young lady or the decoy that the guy was here to meet up with. So if this guy was truly innocent, he wouldn't be like, oh, I don't know. It's almost as if this guy's like, oh, I don't know that... I just didn't know that I didn't know, man. Like, this guy is already cracking under pressure. Like, this guy is absolutely fumbling the bag.
So Jose calls you up. What's your name?
Yeah, Jesus.
Jesus. And how old are you?
I'm 20.
20?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So Chris Hansen asked this guy, how old are you? And this guy's response is 20. Yeah, 20. And Chris Hansen's like, 20, are you sure? It kind of sounded as if you were going to say another number there towards the very end. Like, oh my goodness, this guy is absolutely just fumbling under the pressure. But trust me, if you think that's the worst of his lies, just you wait, because it gets even worse.
So Jose called and said, hey, just for fun, Jesus, go to this address and see what happens. Is that it? That's your story?
Yeah.
And why would you possibly do that?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Stupid.
You're stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're pretty stupid because you're here in the first place. But in this moment, Chris Hansen finally points out the flaw in his story. That he's like, wait, so your friend Jose just called you and just told you to go to this address and you decided to go to it? And he's like, why would you do that? Like, who would actually ever just do that? And then this guy's only response is, oh, I don't know, I'm stupid. But like, we all know that story's made up. We all know that he's there to meet up with the decoy. But I just love when Chris Hansen points out the flaw in this guy's logic. It's like, yeah, bro, like, have you ever met a friend named Jose that's just so awesome? He's so cool that, hey, if you're lonely out there, you're looking for a girlfriend, Jose will come up to you and be like, hey, bro, you want a girlfriend? Just go to this address and she'll be waiting there for you. Like, what the heck is this? Anyways, after this, Chris Hansen's about to let him have it.
I know Jesus is feeding me a buffet of BS, so I cut right to the chase. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to tell the real story.
That's a real story.
That's not the real story. That's BS, and you know it.
Well,
because your first story doesn't make sense. People don't get a phone call from a friend and say, go to this house for no good reason. That's bullshit. You know that. Yeah. So tell me the truth.
Wow, I almost never hear Chris Hansen cuss. So the fact that he is cussing right now shows you just how much he's getting pissed off. And I want to tell this creep this is not somebody that you want to be getting pissed off. Like, this guy, Chris Hansen, he is essentially in control of your life right now. Like, he basically owns your life right now. So this is not somebody that you want to be pissing off in this moment.
And you just went here without knowing what was going on in this house?
Yeah, I didn't know.
That doesn't make sense.
That's what he told me. Well, go with here.
What's his number?
248.
He thinks I'm bluffing, but think again, Jesus. 248.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness, Chris Hansen's the absolute best at this. So this guy, of course, is continuing with the lie that Jose, his supposed friend Jose, his awesome cool friend Jose, is the one that gave him the phone number and address to his house. So Chris Hansen just pulls out his own personal phone. It's like, okay, what's his phone number? I'll just call it myself. And oh my goodness, look at the look on this creep's face. Like, my goodness, in that moment, he died inside right there. Like, that is the exact moment where he literally just died inside. You could just see it in his face. You can see it in his eyes. Like, my goodness. I remember when I saw this for the first time, I was just dying of laughter. Oh my god, this is just absolute gold right here. But wait, it keeps getting worse. Watch.
Let's see if this Jose answers the call.
Thank you for calling the Village of Open Woods.
The number he gave me was to a senior living facility in Michigan. No Jose, or should I say, no way, Jose.
Wow, so the phone number that he gave doesn't even go to a person that he knows. It just goes to a senior living facility in Michigan, which it's still pretty idiotic because this guy couldn't even give him the phone number of a really close friend of his. But I'm willing to bet that this guy probably doesn't have any friends because of the type of creep that he is. But of course, it's just funny that Chris Hansen actually called this number with his personal phone and nobody picked up, which basically just confirms that this guy has been lying the entire time. And most likely the whole story that he told about this friend Jose, who's just so cool, and also that, oh my goodness, if you're feeling lonely, just go to his friend Jose and he'll give you the address of this girl. I'm gonna bet this guy Jose doesn't even exist. So we know that this creep is just lying the entire time. But watch, it's gonna get worse for this creep.
You're lying to me.
I'm not lying.
Yeah, you are. It doesn't make sense. So you got a chance here because I know more about this than you think I know. So I'm going to start asking questions where I know the answer. So you had best tell me now what you were thinking, why you came here, and what your intent was.
Okay, so by this point, I don't understand why the creep is still trying to lie his way out of this, because it should click into any rational brain. Although the fact that this guy is here, I'm pretty sure there's no rational brain in there. But anyways, like I was saying, it should click into any rational person's head that clearly Chris Hansen and the police are clearly onto him and they are aware of everything that's been going on in the chat logs. Yet, for some reason, this guy continues to lie and lie and lie. Just continuously dig himself into a deeper grave. It is crazy how this guy just hasn't put the pieces together of, maybe they were watching my chat with this decoy the entire time. Okay, well, there's no point in lying, so I might as well just come clean about what I was actually here to do. But nope, not this guy. This guy is just going to continue to lie his way out of it. He's going to just try and he's going to go to the grave with lying about it. Like, he's going to absolutely just go to the grave trying to lie his way out of this. But, of course, as we know, that's not going to happen.
And you talked about being 17, 18. Your mom was going to drop you off. You
my mom was going to drop me off.
Your mom. Where's your mom?
She's at home.
She's at home.
Yeah.
Does your mom often take you to meet Okay.
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Wow, we just heard Chris Hansen cuss again. And like I said, Chris Hansen, when he does these sting operations, he hardly ever cusses. So the fact that he's cussing right here just shows you how angry he's starting to get. And rightfully so, because this guy is just continuously lying. And what's so hilarious that he brings up the fact that this guy had said that he was 17, 18. And I remember when they sat him down, he said that he was 20 years old. It's like, this guy, either he is still trying to die with the lie, or he is just that stupid. Like, how has it not clicked with you that they were watching your chat logs, that this was all a setup, that and you completely took the bait, you completely took it? Like, I don't understand how it hasn't clicked in this guy's head. But watch, this is where Chris Hansen really gets angry at this guy.
So now you've lied to me like 7 different times.
Well, what else can I do, man?
Tell the truth.
That's what I'm telling you.
Do you have any idea of the trouble you are in right now?
Yeah, I probably am.
Yeah.
But,
and do you understand why you're in trouble?
yeah, because I didn't know, though.
You talk about it in the chat.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen Chris Hansen get this angry. And I could totally see why he's getting this angry at this creep, because this guy the entire time is just laughing and he's not really even taking it that seriously, when in actuality, this guy's life is forever changed as a result of this sting operation. And again, he's just laughing, which I understand for some people that's kind of a nervous diffuser. And I understand that like some people like use laughter as a way to kind of just like escape the nervousness of the situation. But it just comes off as so disrespectful that he came here, he was of course gonna do something really terrible, he got caught, and now he's just trying to lie his way out of it. And while he's trying to lie his way out of it, he's just continuously laughing about it. Like, oh my goodness, like it's starting to piss me off. Like, oh my goodness, like Chris Hansen, just get to the arrest now.
Well, I'm Chris Hansen.
Okay.
And I do stories on predators,
I'm
men
not a
trying to have
predator.
sex with children. No, you're not a predator?
No.
It sure looks like you're a predator.
No.
Have you ever seen my stories?
No.
To Catch a Predator, Hansen versus Predator, Takedown with Chris Hansen?
No.
Well, now you're on one.
All right.
Okay? That's what all these cameras are for.
All right.
I just love how right there in that moment, Chris Hansen essentially gives this guy his whole resume. He's like, look, bro, I've essentially made a living off of destroying guys like you, so you do not want to mess with me right now. I just love that moment so much. But anyways, that's our last clip for this entry. And in case you don't know, the guy, he never owns up to it. He keeps on lying. And it turns out that this creep was actually 29 years old. So yeah, he was clearly lying as well when he said that he was 17 or 18. But I don't know, I just found that last clip really funny when Chris Hansen was just giving him his whole resume. But anyways, that's our last clip. And the rest of the entries aren't going to be as long as this entry was. It's just because it was the whole interview that was just my favorite moment. Like, I couldn't pick just one moment from the interview. Really, it was the whole thing. And like I said, I will leave links to the videos in the description so you guys can go watch them for yourselves. But anyways, on to our next entry in this video. This clip really needs no explanation. Just watch.
Give us your hands! Give us your hands! Give us your hands! Okay, I got right hand. Work on his left. He's give me your hand. Bundled up. Listen. Yeah.
So basically, this is like your typical normal sting operation where, you know, they have the creep come to the location. But unlike in previous sting operations where Chris Hansen comes out and talks to the creep first, the police just immediately come out and ambush the creep. And in this instance, the creep just starts absolutely screaming his head off, where he's just like, ah, ah, ah! He just starts screaming to the point where Chris Hansen even mouths the words crying like a baby. And here's the thing. You might be thinking to yourself, oh, it's because he got ambushed. Everyone can get jump scared. It's easy to jump scare somebody. Just go behind a corner, and when someone comes around, just say boo, and that's it, you jump scare them. You could do that to anybody. But no, this guy continues to whine like a crybaby. Just watch.
He goes on and on and on.
Please, 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 please.
This is not getting you anywhere. Take a deep breath.
Why? Whatever you say, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I didn't want to do anything. I told him many times.
By the way, did I mention that this clip is actually taking place in a hotel? Like, can you imagine if, let's say, you had been planning a vacation for a long time and you go to your hotel, and of course your hotel looks nice, it's great, it's got a pool, it's got some nice rooms, and then one day you're just resting and then you just hear somebody screaming in the next room over like, and then you just hear him say, please, why? You just hear him like constantly whining and complaining so much. Like, I don't know. That would be probably one of the craziest things. Oh, and then you end up finding out that Chris Hansen's also in the room right next to yours. So, I don't know. I just think this whole clip is just hilarious how the guy just continuously whines and whines and whines. And don't worry, we're going to get Chris Hansen's reaction to this.
I don't care. Okay. I don't care. Here you go. Have a nice day. Oh my God. Okay. I don't want anything. This isn't driving. He kept pushing. He kept asking. Why does he keep asking? Okay. I don't understand.
Chris Hansen's just right there wondering how much longer is this going to go on for. And by the way, this guy continuously goes on about entrapment, that he's being entrapped, that he's being entrapped, and that, oh, this is entrapment. That just simply isn't the case, because to put it simply, if the police have evidence that shows that you were there to commit a violent crime or you were there to commit any type of crime, that's essentially their warrant. That's essentially their warrant to arrest you like that, to just try to put you in handcuffs and, you know, let Chris Hansen interview you. So, you know, this guy constantly tries to whine and complain that this is entrapment, but that just simply isn't the case, especially when the police have the evidence that shows what you were actually there to do.
Is there any right? Do I have any rights to say no to this crew, please? We found out it's all a mistake, then a stupid video is for nothing, but it's gonna be recorded. And then it's also slander.
The way Chris Hansen just stops and looks at the camera, it looks like something straight out of a movie or TV show where Chris Hansen is just annoyed and just looks at the audience and he's just like, really? You serious, bro? Like, come on. I've been through this many times. Come on. Go. Don't try to play these games with me.
This is exactly how you make a bad situation worse. Textbook.
And things are going to get much worse, as it's now my turn to talk to a hysterical Edmundo.
Hey, Edmundo.
No, do not. No, stop.
Okay.
Stop.
No, you don't want to start a problem.
No. Do not go towards the exit. Turn around.
Please.
Get me a transport unit.
Edmundo.
No talk.
Edmundo.
No talk. How dare you?
Edmundo, I'm Chris Hansen, and we're doing stories on men.
No, please.
And that's our last clip for this entry. As you can see, this guy is so hysterical that the moment Chris Hansen walks in, this guy actually tries to leave what seems like a police vehicle where they do interrogations in. He actually tries to leave to the point where these other police officers have to come in and basically pull him back, and they're like telling him like, no, do not leave, do not try exit. And Chris Hansen's trying to like get an interview with this guy, but this creep is so hysterical that Chris Hansen doesn't get an interview with him because he's just constantly hysterical and constantly just denying, and he constantly just keeps on claiming entrapment, even though I already explained in the previous segment as to why this is not entrapment. But yeah, that's the end of this entry. On to our next one. All right, so this is the shortest entry on this list. It's only 3 clips that I'm going to be showing, and there's a reason for that, and that's because in this sting operation that Chris Hansen does, they go over the chat logs, and let's just say the chat logs are very graphic. They are extremely graphic, and I don't feel comfortable putting that on here just because I don't want to risk possibly, again, getting demonetized or age restricted. So to err on the side of safety, I'm just gonna not show the chat logs, but to show you how creepy this, creep is, I'm gonna show you these 2 clips before I show you the main clip that I just love so much.
What'd you bring?
Presents.
What do you got? Show me.
Shit.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys know this, but the decoy in this situation is a 19-year-old theater student, a 19-year-old actress. Yet, despite that, the decoy is so creeped out. This guy is so creepy that he's literally creeping out the decoy. Like, just look at the look on her face when this guy comes near her. And if there's any doubt of how creepy this guy is or how creeped out this decoy is, take a look at this next clip.
I've never done this. Have you?
No.
So what do you want to do?
A hug?
I don't know.
Hey, Boo. Hey.
There's a seat right around that store right there from Chris.
This guy is so creepy that the moment he went in for a hug, this girl was basically like, I'm fast as fuck, boy. She was out of there. Like, that girl wanted nothing to do with that creep. She was freaking out of there. She basically was like, I'm out of here. Yeah. And what's so funny is that Chris Hansen, when he comes out, he says to the guy, hey, boo. So if you don't get the whole point of why Chris Hansen said that, is that in the chat logs, the creep has the decoy call him boo. So that's why when Chris Hansen came out, he just called him boo as well. He comes out of the shadows just like, hey, boo. And of course, I had to include a clip of Chris Hansen telling a creep to go and have a seat. Because I realized in the other clips and the other entries, they didn't have Chris Hansen telling the creep to have a seat. So I realized in that moment, I had to show that clip right there of Chris Hansen doing that. Anyways, let's get to what is actually my favorite moment of this entire interview, which just puts it at number 2. This moment alone puts it at number 2.
I know, but you just came to hang out. You know, I brought...
What, get a hug?
And watch football.
Watch football?
Yep.
Who's playing tonight?
Steelers and the Ravens. I had no intentions with nothing.
No intentions of...
Nope.
I just love the awkward pause that happens after this guy says Steelers and the Ravens. It's almost as if like Chris Hansen was thinking to himself, oh, okay, this guy must be telling the truth. All right, guys, I think we got the wrong guy. Let's all call it a day and go home. I don't know. I just found the awkward pause just so hilarious. And it's just so funny how he thinks that that's going to be what gets him out of there. But anyways, like I said, this was a short entry just because they do go over the chat logs. And the chat logs for this particular creep were really graphic, so I just didn't want to show any of those. But with all that being said, we finally have came to our final entry, our number 1 best Chris Hansen moment. If you guys like watching Chris Hansen, you probably might have an idea as to what it is, but let's get on with it. Yep, for our number 1 spot, we have who is undeniably the most iconic creep Chris Hansen has ever caught. And honestly, I feel pretty comfortable in saying that it's not even close. I'm gonna let this first clip set the stage for you.
It's Saturday night in the Connecticut suburbs. Autumn is in the air. And this guy is bringing pizza to the door.
Yep. This is a sting operation with a decoy in which the creep is actually bringing a box of pizza to his meetup with the decoy. And apparently I heard a report that said that it was Chris Hansen's son that actually suggested to have the creep order a pizza so that way they know where exactly he's at. And if that's the case, he needs a freaking raise because that is an absolutely genius move that brought us one of the most iconic moments in YouTube history.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Do you find the house okay?
No, because it's really dark out.
That's a long drive.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I'm really nervous.
Oh, you're gonna give me a hug?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Can we just talk about how creepy it is that this guy comes in and he immediately tries to go in for a hug on the decoy? Like, it's just so creepy. It's kind of similar to the previous guy where the decoy just ran off because she was so freaked out by the creep. And I don't know, it's just so creepy because it just leaves you wondering, like, what if this was an actual person that was there? What if this was an actual person that was there? What if this wasn't a decoy? This wasn't a sting operation? And it's just so terrifying to think of that thought. But luckily, fear not, because we have the GOAT himself in the building and he's about to set this creep straight.
What's that?
I have no idea. Do you want to go check?
Somebody here.
No.
What kind of pizza we have tonight? Who's this? I'll get to that in a minute. Who are you?
Who are you?
You tell me first.
You know, I one time heard somebody say there is nothing more terrifying than walking into a room and seeing Chris Hansen right there waiting for you. And oh my goodness, that may be the truest statement ever, because Or even if you're just waiting in the room and Chris Hansen appears out of a dark room, just imagine if one day you're just sitting in a room and you see a doorway that is completely blacked out. You can't see what's inside that doorway, and then out of those shadows, Chris Hansen just appears and then says that he wants to have a talk with you. Oh my goodness, that will terrify anybody. But I just love how Chris Hansen just comes out and he basically talks to the creep as if like he's having like a normal conversation with them, where he's just like, oh, good to meet you there tonight, and then the creep is just like, oh, who's this? My goodness, the creep is just completely caught off guard. But that leads to what is easily the most iconic moment in all of Chris Hansen's series. And yes, I mean in all of his series. So whether if it was To Catch a Predator, Hansen vs. Predator, or Takedown, this is easily the most iconic moment in all of them.
I want to know who you are.
I want to know a little bit more about you first.
Can I eat first?
Sure, go ahead.
He's so relaxed and convinced of his innocence, he eats a slice of pizza.
Tell me who you are, because, you know.
Yes, you are seeing that correctly. This guy, this creep, is gonna start munching down on a pizza as Chris Hansen interviews him about why he's there to meet up with the decoy. This next clip needs to be seen in order to be believed.
Who are you?
To come here.
Are you her dad?
To meet a young girl.
Are you her dad?
I will get to that in a minute. Go ahead, have a bite.
Sokol probably should have brought napkins.
I'm at a loss of words. I'm honestly at a loss of words. I don't know how someone can be this comfortable after being caught red-handed doing something so terrible.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby! Cause this one's a screamer!
Did you bring some kind of a contract with you? Some sort of marriage contract? Okay. Let's see if any of this sounds familiar while you enjoy your pizza.
Okay, so you guys get the point. This guy essentially just chows down on a pizza, which, by the way, that is a very tasty looking pepperoni pizza. But he essentially chows down on a pepperoni pizza as Chris Hansen is right there grilling him about why he's there to meet up with the decoy. And I just don't even know how you could be so comfortable in that moment. Like, I'm telling you right now, there are many people out there who have problems with, with being on stage, with public speaking or things like that. Clearly go to this guy for advice, because this guy somehow has the calm and coolness to still chomp down on a pizza while Chris Hansen is right there grilling him. But anyways, this guy continues to eat his pizza. So you know what? I'm just gonna play a quick montage of him eating his pizza throughout the entire interview.
You say, I can't go to jail. Now you know that this
Wasn't sure.
She's told you. How old are you? As a 44-year-old guy, I shouldn't be.
No.
So after just a few days worth of chatting, you decide that is chat, but showing up is showing up. And guess what, Jeff? You showed up. At a home.
Okay, this guy's had too much pizza. We need to take away his pizza and just send him off to prison, because yeah, this guy has clearly gone too far with eating all that pizza during the entire time Chris Hansen is interviewing him, which is just, it's crazy to think that this actually happened in an episode of Chris Hansen. And it's more crazier than anything else. It's more crazier than the person that was constantly lying. Heck, it's more crazier than the person that Chris Hansen caught in which he actually recognized. It's more crazier than any of that stuff right there. This, without a doubt, is the most well-known sting operation that Chris Hansen has ever done, because of just how insane it is that this creep is just so relaxed and so comfortable as Chris Hansen grills him. But hey, you know what? Maybe we're misunderstanding this creep. Maybe we're misunderstanding him, because after all, look at what he does in this clip.
But in all my years of catching these guys, I've never had an offer like this.
You can take your pizza if you like.
You want a slice?
I'm good, thank you very much.
How about you guys?
Yeah, that's right. You heard that correctly. This guy actually offered a slice of pizza to Chris Hansen. He's actually just offered not only to just Chris Hansen, but to his entire crew as well. Which, honestly, why didn't any of them take that slice? I mean, just look at how delicious that pizza looks. In fact, I think if I ever go to Connecticut, I'm going to try to find the exact pizza place that this creep went to so that I could get pizza from there. Because, my goodness, that looks delicious. But yeah, but this is more just the icing on the cake, just the cherry on top of just how iconic this sting operation was. That's the best way to describe it, how iconic it was. This is really just the cherry on top, that this guy went out of his way to even offer Chris Hansen and his whole crew a slice of pizza. I mean, just, you can't get any more generous than that. Oh my goodness. But Chris Hansen does talk about it real briefly afterwards.
Sokol posts a $250,000 bail and heads home to Beantown without his now cold pizza.
I have never, out of 315 or 320 in all the investigations, had anyone ever offer me a piece of pepperoni pizza.
Hey, generous acts don't come around that often, so maybe you should have taken the slice of pizza. Oh my goodness. Anyways, that's our last entry on this list. I hope you guys enjoyed this really bizarre and wacky list. Like I said, since football season is over, I'm gonna just make videos about other things. I'm not exactly the type of person that makes videos about free agent moves or mock drafts or anything like that. I'm not the type of person that wants to make videos like that. Unless you guys want to see them. Let me know if you guys want to see them. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Sorry that this video was out a little bit late. Typically, I want to upload at least one video every 2 weeks, but there were some things that happened behind the scenes with this video that made it much harder to get out and made it take much longer. But luckily, here it is. And oh my goodness, I thought this video was only gonna be like 15 minutes long. This video is over 40 minutes long. This is definitely my longest video. And just thank you guys for watching. And oh my goodness, I'm completely out of breath right now. Like I can't even talk anymore because I literally recorded the majority of my audio in one day because of all the difficulties I was having beforehand. And at the same time, I've only eaten one meal right now, so I'm gonna go eat something. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.